Hello, hello. Hi, Healy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Happy New Year, Joy.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Did you hear or did you see that intro by any chance play
I
on your end?
did.
Okay.
I did see it. I like it. I like it.
We'll
Short and
change
sweet, to
it.
the point. I like it.
I was
Um,
I was whatchamacallit? Like it just came to me like Sunday morning. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do this.
no, that was good though. I like it. I like it. We are recording now, so I'm gonna start
I
with
hope so.
Happy New Year, as I mentioned earlier. Welcome to Gardening Plus with Joy and Healy. I'm Healy,
Oh, and
and
I'm Joy.
I was waiting on that. We are two coast to coast gardeners sharing our beyond the basics experiences, intermediate knowledge, and advanced antics. Come in and enjoy the show. Now, let's see who's in the chat today.
Oh yeah. Yay.
Welcome, MJ Knack. Happy New Year.
I am Jay.
Glad to see you.
Let's see. What are we gonna start off with? Are you gonna
We can start off with a little bit about ourselves. Do you want me to go first or you want to go?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right. So again, I'm HealyMeans. I'm in Southern California and I'm in USDA Plant Hardiness Zone 10B/11A. And if you've watched my channel, you have heard me say 10B/11A for probably the past year or so because my area was 10B. Now it's 11A, but depending on those different plant apps and different websites and stuff, some places will say 10B, some will say 11A. It has definitely gotten warmer in my area, but I still go with 10B/11A. I've been gardening for over 30 years and I currently grow above ground in buckets, nursery pots, vertical planters, almost every kind of container you could think of, DIY and manufactured raised beds, and sometimes grow bags. In my area, we have mild winters. It may get down to the low 40s for maybe 1 or 2 weeks in January, like in the middle. It still hasn't gotten that cold yet this year, but it's possible. But we never freeze, we never frost. Our summers are warm, but they can be kind of dry. But it makes for year-round gardening. Joy, go ahead.
All right.
I play journal.
Hi, Play Journal. I am in New York, upstate, not upstate. Some would say it's upstate. We're about an hour
Mhm.
north of New York City. I am considered Zone 6B prior 6A in the growing zone map. But I would say my mini climate being that I'm on a hillside, I'm also on the east slope of that hillside, so I lose sunlight faster. I'm surrounded by a little bit of woods, so I lean on the cooler side of that zone 6, and I treat myself that way. Weather here is, I mean, it's typical, northeast weather, but I feel like it's
Mhm.
also variable. Every year is a little bit different. Like last year, we barely had any snow. This year, we're having moderate snowfall, but it's definitely been colder for longer. We have,
Mm.
like, just for example, last year, January 1st specifically, I remembered because I had a video of it. I was outside, I was working in the compost and everything, and it was, pleasant enough to do that. It was like 40 degrees temperatures, but that wasn't happening this, January 1st. It was super chilly. But we are, the solstice has passed. We are getting a little bit more of those daylight day hours, having 40-degree weather, whereas at night still, in the 20s and below. And we'll still get definitely, yeah, super chilly weather, freezing weather, below negative temperature weather. It's like a
Mhm.
time. I don't know how they let kids go to school and stand in the bus stops while it's that type of situation, uh, but that's the awful situation that I guarded in. But no, the summers are I'd say pretty mild. I'd say we have a nice, decent amount of growing time, 120 to 150. It's supposed to be 150, but I go into the lower end there of growing days. And yeah, you will have certain years very heavy snowfall and certain years droughts. you can never predict the weather wherever you are. So we take what we can get. What am I missing here? I grow a lot in ground, a lot on raised beds. I'm starting to accumulate more pots for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's wrong with me? Huh, I feel like there's a little bit more control with pots, but it's also a lot more work. What else? I've been in and out of growing for close to 30 years as well. Like it wasn't like the vision wasn't there in the early years. It was just for fun. It wasn't less sufficiency or anything like that, or learning even. But now in the last definitely 6 years, it's been honed in and really trying to grow as a person and a gardener. All right, that's me.
Play Journal says, I can't get over that you're an hour north of me and I'm in 7B. Where are you, Play Journal?
Yeah, I believe I know where he is, but I can't remember at the moment. But he's just like outside the city. He's in New York, just outside the city. But even Long Island, because they have that water situation surrounding them, it totally changes their gardening dynamic. They have awesome like summer gardens, because I have a cousin down there and her little yard is phenomenal with vegetables. I envy her for that. I don't envy the commute to Long Island, but I envy gardening.
Wow. Well, as you can hear, we almost could not be, well, I mean, of course we could be further, I guess, growing zone distance, but physical distance. I'm in the Southwest. Joy is in the Northeast, ish comparison. And you will hear throughout our live streams this year the things that we have in common and do similarly, as well as, things that are different basically because of where we live in our USDA growing zones. So we talked about who we are and where we grow and everything like that. But Joy, you want to take us back about 5 years. So give us kind of like a summary 2020 to 2025. What has your gardening experience been like?
Right. All right. I'm going to play a little video. I'm not sure if I'm going to stop it in between and say something about it or not, but I am going to pull that up. And it's going to start right away, I believe. So here we go.
It is. Okay. Let's see. Let's see.
Hold on.
Oh, no, look at
me. Sorry. Let's go back. Okay, here we go.
Oh, look.
I had to. It's so cute. All right. So I am going to stop in between. I did start with, these are dresser drawers. We were moving out of our old house. I had this furniture I had to throw out. And then I was just watching certain channels at the time. There was like, you can garden for free using your junk. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I have junk. So my first garden beds in this property, 2020, were these dresser drawers. And the one under the tarp is my first compost. So I took the drawers out of the dresser, and then the whole dresser piece I made into the composting unit.
Oh, wow.
So let's see. So it's just a few shots. Some years have more pictures than others. So funnily enough, this was the summer. This tree was shading this area that I decided to put these plants in. And funnily enough, that year there was a hurricane, and it took that tree that was in the way. I was like, oh wow, God loves me. Oh no, pushed the wrong button. Where are we? Go back. Okay, here we go. So I learned about, just no dig at some point. And so I have cardboard down and just some wood chips on top to start off that garden. Now, the first year I was not, starting off that many seeds yet. So I did buy my first starts, which was fine. This is another area I converted. That's another picture of it.
Wow.
Then now we're in 2021, and this is when I went full force with pallets, more pallets. I was able to get them for free because my family works with a dealership, so I was able to get heat treated pallets. that was a busy year. That was a lot of work for a year of building these things up. And also composting. I took that very seriously that year. And that was really satisfying, like, sifting your own compost. And that's the year I did my first hugel. So we had a lot of old trees, like the previous owner burned wood. So there was a lot of wood piles that were just rotting away because we weren't using it fast enough. And the same still happens now. So I took those. I got a whole bunch of leaves and twigs and sticks. There was no shortage of it in this property. So I'm very lucky that way. And then I did have to buy in some topsoil. It's not the best quality topsoil at the time. I didn't know anything about that sort of thing. But I did get it from like a landscaper, and they said it was garden soil, so I went with it. It just had a lot of, the typical plastics in it. But it served its purpose. So is that the last picture of that? Yeah. So that's when it started getting some growing on. And that's also the same year I started getting raised beds. These are the first birdies I purchased. You can see the hugel in the background. And then right around that time, I had owned chickens for decades before, but when we had moved, or just before we were moving, I did lose like my majority of my flock to old age, and they would get into the road and all that stuff. So I did not have a flock for a couple of years while we were in this new house. But 2021, I got my flock back. I started off again. And this hoop house is just in front of where the hugel mound is. So I was going to reestablish a new bed there. So I figured the chickens are going to do the work for me, and they're going to, eat up all the weeds and tear up that ground and put their manure on it. So that's where I set up that hoop house. And it wasn't long until I lost that hoop house to some like snow and ice and completely crumbled it down. But it's just PVC, so it wasn't exactly the strongest thing ever.
So what? Yeah.
So this is now spring of 2022. Just some pictures of the chicken and the hoop house net, so protect them from hawks. Now this is when I've been take them off the property, and now I'm going to, I have to break up the soil because they've compacted it a bit. Here's just the before and a little bit later. So here I'm aerating it. And then I topped it with some wood chips. And also the first year I got my green stalks. The first green stalks I got.
Yeah. How many people in the chat have green stalks? Let us know if you have green stalks, or what mediums do you grow in? Are you above ground, in ground, containers, green stalks? Let us know in the chat.
And also that's the year I was going to be starting seeds indoors and doing my own seeds and not buying starts anymore. So I had this whole setup. My mother, she was storing some stuff in my basement for a bit because she was in between homes. So she bought this super expensive, rack system, and she didn't want to get it back because it was too big for her new place. So I was like, yes. So I had this awesome shelving unit that I had to put lights in and find containers. You can see a bunch of DIY containers in that. And then, what is this? Still 2022? I thought we were, yeah. This is when we decided to build a real chicken house. So this is just the beginnings of that. We finished that by the end of the year. And then, what angle? Okay, these are the raised beds that you saw earlier filled up, and wood chips all around that area where I was going to put more stuff. This is the front of the house by the driveway. I was just redoing it and topping it up because there's a lot of water runoff in this area. When it rains, it really takes away stuff. So I had to border the bed with these wood. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
So do you have to modify what you grow in that area because of the rain? Do you only grow like water loving things in that area? Has the board, the way that you sectioned it off, has that made it, okay, so you don't have to worry about the runoff?
Yeah, I haven't had to worry so much about the runoff with the boards in place. And it's being that this like soil has been redone, like they built it up for the house and everything else. So it's very well draining. So I didn't have to worry about, having specifically to grow things that are moisture loving. I can pretty much, plus I do top off this bed every year because, it keeps compressing down. So, yeah, I don't have a problem growing anything, but I don't specifically grow water loving plants. Now, another bed I had to have, this was going to be a flower bed. I'm still working on that. So it was my first foray into mushrooms. That's some lion's mane. I just put that in there.
Oh, okay.
All right, now this is where I put another birdie's raised bed. And my third child, my second daughter, she's the youngest and the most willing to be in the garden with me. And then my fourth garden bed. I'm not advertising for birdies by any chance. Forgive me. But this is the fourth bed. And this is, before I was putting it together. So there was already an existing, planting space here that I was using straw bale. And then you break it up and you put soil in it and you use that as your growing space. So that's what was started here, aside from the container. But I moved the container and I used the straw and broke it down and put the birdies around it. And then this is there isn't any very good points to take like a whole picture of my garden. So this is like one of the few ways I can get like a whole picture. So there's the chicken coop in the back, the hookah mound to the left back, and then the new gardening space in the front of that. Then to the right, the birdies raised beds. And then I, started eating up more of that space. And then closer to the front is another space that I'm always trying to figure something out with.
So how large would you say your growing space is?
Oh, dang it. You had to ask me that, didn't you?
I did. Because the people want to know. Don't you want to know? Chat, don't you want to know? We want to know.
Mulling. I'm like, I should really do like how many square feet I'm actually growing in, but I haven't taken out the measuring tape yet. So you'll have to stay tuned at the next episodes and see when I reveal how many square feet I'm growing it. All right, we're almost to the end here. This is just, a few more like large shots. This is to the side with the pallets.
That's beautiful.
Close up. It's so nice in the summer when everything's coming. This area, I'm like constantly trying to do something with. This was me trying to do some like in-ground, cold frame. It didn't work out. The voles found it and we're like, ooh, thanks for the new house. So we're going to have to rethink that space. This is me taking up this space again and fixing the boards. This is me trying to get more saffron established, but that failed. But
so is this a new space or is this redoing a space you already showed us?
I haven't showed it, but it was a space, but it got overgrown. So I had to, go back in and try to rehabilitate it. 2024 was a big change in the garden where we got this dog. She's currently being a headache, but she's supposed to be watching, the chickens and all, but so far there's a lot of training to be done. This is like a fall shot of that area. And then 2025, I moved. Like the compost bin is always moving and changing. So this is another iteration of it with more pallets. 2025 spring garden. Another bed, another flower bed I want to reestablish. So it's just a little tiny triangle there by the driveway. There's hollyhocks there already. And then another fall. Like if you're really paying attention, you would see the how different the foreground. So this is no longer. So this is where my blueberries were. First they were in ground and then they were in pots. And now I took them out of this area and moved them somewhere else. So this is where they were, which is by the wellhead. You can see in the back. I don't think they're getting any sun, enough sun. So that's why I moved them. And now this is the end. And this is where the blueberries are now. And
do they seem to be happier in the new space?
It's only the first season. I moved them in the fall, so I don't know yet. We'll see. And another raised bed right there. Not birdies. Couldn't afford it anymore. And you can see, I got a tumbler in the back. I got that secondhand. I really like it, except when it's frozen in the middle of winter and then I can't open it or do anything because it's frozen. And so I'm like holding on to my kitchen compost. I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff? So I'm really hoping it thaws out soon. All right. That's the end of that.
Wow. Right. So we have to know how large the space in the area is.
All right, I'll put that in
my
homework.
And you can see the transition, how you started off with, let's say, one area. And then as the years pass, you get more and more area involved in, the gardening space. But before I talk about mine, my 2020 to 2025, Joy, I know you had something that you wanted to present. I kind of skipped over it, and I'm sorry about that. Right. So yeah, we can take a break from our little history. So this in between break.
Yes. Well, while we're breaking, let's say hi to G Mama Gross. She came in. Hi. Thanks for being here. And also I wanted to say that I don't have like the pristine flat level backyard where you can have a grid system of growing. So I really have to be creative with like, okay, can I plant in this space? How do I level it? How do I get it so that it's not running off when there's a big rain event? So I really had to just basically take over the yard slowly but surely. Yeah. But I had to really think about it. All right. So something I wanted to introduce for this coming season of Gardening Plus is word of the month. Maybe we'll make it every, word of the week if we get to that. But word of the month this month is resilience. Now, I like this, you can go to the dictionary and get a definition. But I like this definition that I found: a capacity to persist, adapt, or transform in the face of change in a way that maintains an identity of a system. And since we're looking at social ecological resilience, we're interested in really enabling long-term human survival and well-being as part of the biosphere. So it's quite closely linked to sustainability. I feel like that's like a really well-rounded definition of like what we're trying to accomplish here in the gardening community, instead of just a basic, resilient is to to survive kind of thing. I feel like in the last 6 years, we definitely leaned into this word a lot more. And I hope we continue to. I hope people, don't forget. That's really important. Don't forget your past, or you're going to be back where you were, in 20, 30, 50 years. I feel like even on a day-to-day, like I had the flu during the New Year's 2 weeks around New Year's this year. And so that was miserable, but it didn't stop me from, continuing to take care of my seedlings, planning out my garden. I didn't take myself out of that mindset of, I'm going to wake up the next day and still need to survive and thrive. So I feel like it's an important message to carry on every day, to always be strong in your mind. Mind, very important. Like your body will follow as long as your mind is in a strong state.
That's true. I have seen also just over the years, let's just say from 2020 to 2025 and now into 2026. It seemed to me in the YouTube gardening community, a lot of new people came in 2020. No surprise, what was going on. More people found interest in gardening. And at first it seemed more like, okay, I'm going to try this out. This is a hobby. I'm going to just, stick a seed in the ground and, put some water and we'll see what happens. As the years have progressed, I have heard more keywords in the garden community: being purposeful with my gardening, being intentional, taking it more seriously, not like, if I don't grow, I'm not going to survive, but being more purposeful, more intentional, doing more planning and prep work, paying attention to soil and seeds and weather and everything like that. So I have seen the maturity in the garden community over these years from 2020 to 2025. Hi, you grow. What's up? What's
How you
up? Thank you for
grow?
joining us. And I'm glad to see that. Those of us who were gardening before 2020, either on or off YouTube,
Mhm.
um, have been here to help the new gardeners coming in to establish themselves and maybe not go through all of the hiccups and the stumbling blocks that we have gone through. And even though over the years, every year you see there's new gardening channels, more and more people starting to garden. What Joy is going to bring up, what we plan to do in Gardening Plus, is to take those gardeners who are not at the very beginning of their journey, but somewhere past that. Maybe you are 2, 3, 4, 5 years into gardening. Maybe you are 20, 30, 40 years into gardening, but you're not at that beginning baby steps, space. Now we're always going to reference um beginning gardening techniques and stuff, but what we want to do this year is to move into that intermediate and advanced gardening. And I'm gonna stop right there and let Joy pick it up.
Well, now it's your turn to share with us your journey in your space there from about 2022, I see.
Okay. Yeah, so over the past 5 years, my garden layout has changed. My methods have evolved and expanded. I actually did start off growing in ground where I am
Okay.
now, but the soil is clay. I had success gardening in ground, but to me, the work to work the soil was just too much. And it was just something that I didn't want to do. So by 2021, 2022, I moved into raised beds. And this picture here is just kind of like just the steps that I went through to build out this space. And this is two 8x4 raised beds with actually two wooden toy boxes of furniture. That was talk about, using what you already have and growing for free and stuff like that. The two spaces in the middle are two toy boxes, but these are two 8x4 spaces. They're actually 4x4 beds connected to make the 8x4. And this was the first space in this area. So this is my main garden. And if you follow my channel right now, this space that you see is where my 6 mini raised beds are. All were, as we'll see,
Mhm.
going into 2026. So this is what my 2022 garden looked like. And then as we moved into 2023, I built on top of that. I got yellow pallets that I got off of Craigslist.
Cool.
And I put the 4x4s up on top of those. And then I took in the back, you'll see that's 8x4 stacked. So it's too high in the back, and then I have the single level in the front. And you can see now the buckets I'm growing in. You see the shade cloth. I'm doing some stuff with stakes and PVC pipes and just all kind of stuff. Just expanding my growing space. That was 2023. So 2024, I love building things. I like doing stuff with my own hands. So I built stands for my containers. So this is an example of my 15-gallon bucket stand. And I built this to fit like 10 and 15-gallon buckets. Again, raised up off the ground, but in a stand that would allow drainage to fully come out of the containers, because I found that even when I had these containers on the ground, sometimes water would still pool up because remember, I have clay soil. And the clay soil, it was slow, very slow to drain and spread the water out. So building up this stand helped me to get the containers in an organized, neat kind of way because I like stuff like that. and just have these containers here. You also see the beginnings of what I call my vineyard. And it's two great plants that I have, one on each side of the stand, and then they just grow and cross over. So that's that. And then I think that's a miracle leaf of life that was
Nope.
actually flowering. No, that's okay.
Okay.
So 2025, this is when I moved into manufactured raised beds. This space right here this is what I call Aunt Jerry's garden. And um this is for my Aunt Geraldine. She's no longer with us, but she's always with me. So I had a DIY 6x2.5, I believe, raised bed here under the window. And this year I switched that out with this manufactured raised bed. This is a Vego garden bed. Also not sponsored or whatever. I think I have some kind of link for a discount code or whatever, but that's not what this live stream is about. But this is a Vego bed. And you can see I built it up on the garden blocks. So the garden blocks that I used previously for the DIY raised beds, I reused them to give some height to this raised bed. It helps me not to have to bend over so far, and I like this setup. And then another picture, if you go to the next one. So this is what the main area looked like. So you saw the transition from the single leveled 8x4 raised beds, then the double stack raised beds, connected in together. And now I have these 6 mini raised beds with trees in the middle, because in 2024 and 2025, I went on like a fruit tree just deal. I have a lot of I have a lot of fruit trees. But this area I built up, and I had 6 mini raised beds because I wanted to be able to grow a lot of different things independently without having to worry about disturbing roots if I had to pull something up, or if something had pest pressure or weather pressure or whatever. So I had these individual beds, and that worked for me. I really liked that. But now I've moved on to something new, and this is still in progress. But so where you saw the 3 mini raised beds, there's 2 rows of 3 mini raised beds before. I took out the 3 row of mini raised beds, and I replaced them with these manufactured raised beds. These are also Vego. But as you can see, I've reused the yellow pallets. On the kitty raised bed in the front, you probably can't see it that well, but I've reused those corner garden blocks. All of the soil is reused. The oyas that I had before, like, I reused pretty much everything. The raised beds themselves, the wood is the base inside the manufactured raised beds. So all of that wood is down at the bottom, and then all of the soil, up on top. And you can see some buckets there. Still, I'm growing in everything. So buckets, the nursery pots. I have 3 green stalks. I'm growing in them right now. I think I have garlic in one, and then I have different herbs and vegetables in the others. I grow like 99% from seed. I don't really buy seedlings or plants from the store or whatever. Now, if I just happen to go there for something else, and I see, I don't know, like a super sale on some seedlings or something, I'm probably gonna pick up at least 1 or 2 or 10. But I mostly grow from seed. So that is my journey over the past 5 years and into 2026.
Very nice. And our Play Journal says, love the contrast of your garden spaces. Both are beautiful and productive. Yes, thank you so much.
I think we both are making the most of the space that we have.
Yeah.
Even if you like me, and it seemed like every year and a half to 2 years, you just like totally revamping and changing, but I have a much smaller area than Joy does. And so even though it's is hard work. I think, I can do those transformations and stuff like that maybe a little bit easier. I do have more level area, even though the back right corner of the space where I have those raised beds, that is a low area that has to be built up and leveled out. But for the most part, my yard is flat.
Mhm.
So that makes it a little bit easier to work with.
Yeah. All right. That was fun. I really enjoyed that idea of mine because I was like missing. It
Mm-hmm.
was a good way to start the year. All right. Let's see, while we've done that, are we gonna do, oh yeah, what are we currently doing now? What's in progress?
So just to kind of recap on what I have in progress, I am renovating and revamping my yard again. So the two raised beds that you saw earlier, I'm going to mimic that on the other side. So it'll be two. Those are, the long one is 2 by 8 and 17 inches high. Plus I added some height, about uh maybe 6 or 7 inches with those pallets. And
Mhm.
then that small one, that's a kitty raised bed. I think it's like 2 by 3.5, or
Okay.
something like that. But I'm gonna have that same setup on the other side of those pavers, and on those pavers, I'm gonna put the trees back. So
Mhm.
renovation, kind of revamping. Yeah, this is how it looked before, and this is how it'll look again, except I'll have those manufactured raised beds on each side. And I'm thinking about hanging those little flower
Oh, okay.
pots. Yeah, that you see like on the left side at the bottom. I was hanging those on the fence in the back, but I think I'm gonna hang those on the outer edges of the long raised bed. I'm thinking about it because having to reach up over and water, especially when those trees grow in, I
Yeah.
think that might be a little bit too much. So for 2026, renovating, getting the rest of this stuff situated, working with my trees. I've also started growing dragon fruit, so that's a new experience for me. And then hopefully shielding my garlic this year from aphids,
Mhm.
because the aphids, specifically the black aphids, people say, "Oh, aphids don't like garlic and alliums," and oh yes, yes, yes they do. So I actually bought the insect covering for the green stalk, and I have that over all three of my green stalks, and I'm hoping that that'll help to shield and preserve um my garlic this year. In the chat, if you have any, recommendations, because at some point, I'm going to have to take the cover off. Tell
Yes.
me how do you preserve your garlic and your alliums from aphids and other like pests. I'm trying all kind of new things, this year, but I think the insect cover is, a physical barrier. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that that helps.
I'm actually gonna have to do that as well because I'm getting it's called allium leaf miner, which is like a type of fly that lays its larva, and then the little bug goes down to your bulb and makes holes in it. It doesn't
Hmm.
affect, the produce, but it does affect it as far as longevity, preserving it and for long term. But you can still cut it off, cut away that bad part and eat the rest. But yeah, I'm going to be netting those
Hmm.
spaces because I want less of that problem.
Yeah. Oh, and I do that too. Like if I see a little weak spot or a little, undesirable spot or whatever. Oh no, that's how you carve around. You cut that piece out and then you eat the rest. I
Yeah.
don't throw away the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now I think if I saw like a rodent bite or something,
Yeah, no,
and
that's
then
different.
then yeah. But
Yeah.
the little bugs and stuff,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
carve it out.
I know those
We
pests are only going from plant to plant, whereas rodents are eating undesirable things that should not be
yeah,
ingested by us.
that's right.
So
That's
no
right.
cross contamination.
Hmm. Oh, Robin says to try calendula
Oh,
um
okay.
as a trap crop. So that's something that I can do. I have I believe it's 36 pockets The 36 leaf pockets, so the small, I think that's 7 inch. And I have all 36 of them with garlic cloves in them. But maybe I could take one of those flower pots, put some calendula in that, and then put that on the fence next to the green stalks.
Mhm.
You know, I'll try different things, you know,
Yeah.
throughout the year. So I
Nice.
appreciate that. Thanks.
All right, what I'm up to. Well, I bought several bushes, trees that I'm going to keep into bushes over the fall. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been busy trying to keep them alive. I think I've already lost one, but I'm holding out hope. So I've been busy doing that, keeping them alive in the little grow tent that I purchased over the fall. Also, I'm trying to get some seedlings going with the challenge hashtag WIG 2025.
Oh
If
yeah.
you want to be part of the, little community fun, go over to Mike's Chaotic Gardening or GT Junior Grows in Alaska. They're hosting that funness.
Mm-hmm.
So far so good. All my seedlings are still alive, but it's still stressful. You're like,
Yeah.
did I water it too much? Do I need to water it? Do I have to feed
So
it
where
now?
where are where are you growing your seedlings? Like where is your setup?
Right now, which is a little different from my past. Usually, I continue to grow them in the basement. I had a picture of that earlier in my
Mm-hmm.
slideshow, and that's where I did all of it. But it gets tiring going up and down the stairs and doing that, and it's a little chillier in the basement. So I brought up, I made a new space in my living room. I took
Mm-hmm.
it over. I moved furniture out, and I'm like, nope, my plants now, because it
Mm-hmm.
was by a window, and windows are very valuable space around here.
Yeah.
So I set up a stage, a shelving unit. I bought more lights to keep them going, extra lights, because the light in the winter is not strong enough to keep plants alive or going.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought more lights, set up my shelving system, so in the living room I can keep tabs on them on a daily, and I'm optimistic. Also, speaking of the basement, I did a deep clean, like right before Christmas. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it was. It was some weird like nesting phase of like, this is too much. I need this cleared out. Plus, I do it anyway because of the gardening season's I'm amping up. I need to get rid of some of the soil that's all over the floor, and I got to get my
Mm-hmm.
containers sorted, and I got to get my seeds, all categorized.
Yeah.
So I did a deep clean of the basement, and I still have a pile that I have to get rid of because it's bulk, garbage, and you have to wait a certain time to get rid of the bulk. So it's still
Mm-hmm.
just sitting in the corner, but I vacuumed everything. I feel really proud of myself for that. Now the rest of my house, forget about it. But the
Yeah.
basement looks good.
But the basement is good. The basement is good.
There. And what else? We get snow. We have some snow now, and it's melted a bit, but then it snowed again. But one of the things I'm currently continuing to do is to collect the melt of this dust, the water from the snow. So
Mm-hmm.
my roof is not like the gutter system is all, old. So we get leaks that they don't all go down the spout like they're supposed to. So I put a
Yeah.
bucket under the leak and then I collect the water in my little jugs and then I save them in the basement or wherever. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
like to use to water my house plants, my seedlings. It's like I have a well, so I don't pay for water, but I feel like rain or snow water is a lot better. Forget about
Yeah.
like chemicals in the earth or the sky, but I think it's way
Yeah.
better than the well water that's got a lot of minerals in it and
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit heavy. So that's one of the things I'm always doing is collecting water however I can for my plants.
Yeah, that's a challenge for us here because I mean, this time frame, so between November and February are the best times that we have for rain period, let alone collecting water. But it's not even enough. I mean, I have a container. I have a barrel, a water barrel, but it's not used for collecting water. But I do have another container that I use for collecting water, and there's so little water that
Mhm.
it almost evaporates. You know, before I can even use it. Like it's so water is just a very kind of serious thing. You know, in my growing area, and I'm looking this year to grow more heat tolerant, drought tolerant varieties of the things that I've grown in the past, because water is is such a premium. And I'm telling you, if California goes up on the rates of anything anymore, which they will.
Right.
I mean, we had 2 utility increases last year, so water, gas, and electricity, and they increased the charge for sewage.
Mhm.
And then last month we get the message, yes, and your rates will be increasing in January. It seems like every January and July, those utility services, the price increase, but the service does not.
Right.
So yeah, water is a premium, and I do my best to just manage it as best I can. And that was another reason why I decided to go back to one large raised bed instead of
Oh,
the 3 individual ones, because I
mhm.
feel like that the same amount of water, it could spread across
Right.
a larger area and feed the and water the plants, plus the oils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to get strategic and really consider and plan my resources. And that just takes me back to what we hope for this year, gardening plus. We're moving past the beginner stages of being a gardener. We're moving more into planning and brainstorming and calculations. You might have some math on some of these live streams. Bring out the
Oh
ruler,
no.
the measurements, the calculator, and stuff like that. Because we want to nurture and support the intermediate to advanced gardener. There are so many channels for the beginner gardeners, and we love them. I still watch them. But for those of us who have, kind of just grown in our craft, we want to be able to support those gardeners. So
Yes. Well, speaking of which, I did a whole spiel. I wrote it down and everything, like typed it. I had it handwritten, and I'm like, oh, this is messy. I can't read this. So just piggybacking off what you were just saying,
mhm,
let me go back. So I've been listening and watching, YouTube and spaces and a lot of people, and I'm seeing the consensus to be YouTube fatigue. Now, for
mhm,
creators, I see them saying they're experiencing burnout, a loss of revenue, and competition. They already have, a pretty saturated market at this point, but now you have AI on top of that. So
mhm,
now for us in our gardening space, I've been in YouTube for 5 years, coming up on 5 years. There's a
mhm,
little foreshadowing there, but I've been watching YouTube for way longer than that,
mhm,
and I've been learning. So I've been learning for a while, and most channels, especially the big ones, like you were saying, they cater to the beginner gardener because, understandably so, that's their bread and butter. Those are the people who are listening to them, buying their products and everything. So when I'm looking for the more advanced information that I want to see visually, I don't want to read a book because I don't have time for that. There's not that much, available of those creators. And the few that are there are just, they're educators. They're not content creators. They don't appeal to the person who's watching them on a screen.
mhm.
Never mind that probably not in a college classroom either, because
Yeah.
they're probably like boring and stale and speaking a monotone voice. Nothing against
Mhm,
them, they're great, but I I want the goal of 2026 and beyond for Gardening Plus, as we're calling it, to elevate our content and pass the beginner and into the next grade or level. So I want us to level up. Of course, we'll
mhm,
still sprinkle in the basics, but try to present those in a little bit more interestingly, maybe a little more hands-on, show and tell stuff. But we can't do it overnight. It will take time to grow this new format, and it may take us all season, like it takes a seed for a while
mhm.
to get from seedling to maturity. All right, so that's that part. All right, we're not experts in gardening, but our combined
Right.
experience and your very welcome input is very valuable. With that, we need
Yes.
your help. What are some topics or subjects, areas that you're still curious about? or you want a second, third, fourth opinion on, you've already heard from some people, but you're still on the fence. Please leave suggestions in the comment section. Feel free to email us. Our information will eventually scroll through the bottom here in the chat, and it's always on our homepages, so you can always reach out to us for for that stuff, or you just want to chat. Problem solve. All right, that's my spiel. I really am excited for this new Gardening Plus phase of our growth here on the channel and our life. And I hope you all continue to follow us and join.
Yes.
All right.
That's definitely the goal for us. Like Joy said, and like I mentioned earlier, we just want to level up. We want to take it a step beyond. And we will be learning and growing as we support others learning and growing. We are not experts or whatever. I mean, we definitely have experience, years and years of experience, but we are still learning. If I ever came across a gardener who said that they know everything, they have it all, I'm not sure might not be I can learn from that person, but I'm not sure that that'll be like a go-to person of mine, because there's always something new to learn. There's always a way to grow and develop, and there's always something to do, which leads us to this segment of the live stream, the monthly to-do list. Now we're almost midway in January, and I know for especially the cooler climate areas, this is more of an off time physically in the garden than an on time. And some of the warmer climates, like where I am, and it's 70 something degrees outside, like right now, some gardening is still in full swing. But no matter where you are, here are some things that you can do for January. Now, Joy, do you want to start it off? So we have things for everyone, and we have things for those in cooler growing areas and things for those in warmer growing areas. And that's how we're going to kind of frame the monthly to-do list. Now, of course, starting next month, it'll come out in the beginning of the month, but this is our first live stream of the new year. So we're just going to put something out today in mid-January. So if you haven't already started on these things, you might want to get started. This is by no means everything. There's always other things, and just know that some things might not apply to you, and that's fine.
All right, I'll take half of it, I guess. Something you didn't have on your list, but I'm going to say now is clear out your freezers. If you preserved, some of your produce and it's still sitting in your freezer, like somebody here, start to go through that. You're going to need that space, and you don't want to have to just, compost all that hard work from prior year. And I know I have some tomatoes and peppers that still need some doings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have, let's see, where is it? Review your current inventory of everything. Your seeds, your soil, your tools, your container, your lights. If you're like me in the north and we start seeds indoors, we got amendments and fertilizers, pest control, request free or cheap online catalogs, or find catalogs. Review your current garden layout and plan on any changes or modifications. I know I would like a greenhouse. I say this every year, but I'm constantly reviewing my husband to poking him to get that going. We said tools, but also like equipment, bigger things. You might want to, make sure everything is in working order. What else? Okay, so that's for the cool growing zones. Did I have anything to add to the insecticides we did? Nope, not that. That's for you. All right. Oh, pruning. Winter is a good time, is the best time to do any pruning. So if your trees are one of those not dwarf varieties, you want to, prune them now. to make sure they're to that level where you can reach the fruit and everything, or control the amount of fruit you have so that your tree is not being overbearing, overgrown by the time
Yeah.
spring and summer comes. All right, your turn for the warm season.
So for warmer season areas, this is a time where we can still be planting cool season flowers or sowing the flower seeds. This is a great time to get those flowers started. So by springtime, your pollinators have something to eat, something to attract to your garden, and help you control some of that pest pressure naturally. So getting the flowers going. It's also time to check your brassicas. If you've been growing brassicas from the fall into the winter season, this is time to check them. I just checked. I have a Romanesco cauliflower outside, and I just looked at it yesterday, and it's finally starting to come in. And
Nice.
then so are the aphids.
Right.
So check your brassicas, check your leafy greens, check your root vegetables. If they're not ready to harvest, just check the health, make sure they're being watered. Maybe it's time to add a light layer of fertilizer, whether it be a water soluble fertilizer or granules, just depending on how you run your garden. And then if you have cauliflower, especially white, if they've grown enough, this is time for you to fold the leaves over. Some people just fold them over and put clips. Some people put rubber bands, but however you want to cover that cauliflower so it stays white. But just remember, though, you still want to check every once in a while, check and look. You don't want to cover it and then leave it for like a month or so and you
Oh
open
no.
it up and then it's full of pest or full of mold or whatever because water
Right.
got trapped inside of there.
Yeah.
So that's something to do. Also, protect young and in-ground plants and seedlings from heavy rains or pooling waters. So I say this because in my area, November to February is our best chance for rain. And sometimes we get, I don't know, a half an inch in a day. And for us, I know y'all laughing at me, but a half an inch in like 2 or 3 days is like a monsoon. But if you plant in ground and you have clay soil like I do, you want to make sure that those seedlings and those young plants are not being flooded out or drowned or sitting in water. So you want to check that. Also, if you have a greenhouse or if you have a space outside where you're growing and starting seeds, because I have to do everything outside. I don't have a basement and I don't have a space inside. So everything I do is outside, from starting the seeds to the seedlings to growing to everything to harvest. Everything is outside. If you are outside, make sure that your greenhouse is in an area where it still will receive some sunlight. We are past the winter solstice, so we know that each day is getting longer and longer, but that doesn't mean that you have that sunlight and that warmth
Right.
on the area where you're growing. So you just want to check that. If you have heat mats and stuff like that to help you out, you want to check that. But if you are working outside, and you're using heat mats, you want to make sure that the plug and your unit and everything is protected from possible rain, heavy winds, and stuff like that. We're not trying to electrocute ourselves or have the side of the house on fire because the heat mat was left on and we had that half inch of rain.
Right.
So those are just some of the things in the warmer growing areas that you can do because we're still, planting full swing, a lot of cool season crops. And then some of us are even at this point in mid-January starting to sow seeds for tomatoes and peppers and, going into seed starting. And that can be in the cool zones and in the warmer zones because you're probably doing it inside a greenhouse or inside under grow lights. So between inventory and everything, y'all, and I Joy said it, and I cannot stress this enough, please, because those catalogs look so welcoming. I have a stack, y'all, and I'm still trying to edit and upload a video, and I have like a stack of catalogs, and I flip through them, and it's like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and this, and I put this in a cart, and that in a cart, and this in a cart, and that in a cart. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, I already have that. I already, I tell myself I can never have too much seeds, and I still believe that. But maybe,
Yeah,
just maybe.
maybe.
But and one last thing I want to say too, when you're reviewing for the 2026 season, review yourself, as in your mindset and your space for where you are with gardening. Maybe last year you only grew 2 or 3 things. Maybe you only had a spring or summer garden. Maybe you planted 50 different things and you planted year round. Before you start this 2026 season, or as you begin to start it, just check in with yourself. There have been events or situations where you can't grow 50 things, this year. Maybe you can only grow 25. Maybe you can only grow 5. Maybe this is a year where you're sitting out the spring and the summer and you coming in the fall. It's okay. Your garden, your rules, but make sure that you are prepared, for this garden year, wherever that puts you, whatever that means to you. Just make sure you're ready, because we're going to talk about this down the line. And we did last year with the garden fatigue. And I do believe that at least a small part of that is because maybe we didn't check in with ourselves, in the beginning, and we just jumped in and go and started. And it's like, oh my God, it's May and I'm already burnt out.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Good. Nice way to end that. All right. That is our show for today, folks. Thank you all so much for being here. I know you like to do the summary. I'm not very good at it, but
no, go ahead, please.
I will try. Today's show covered a lot. We welcomed in the new year with reintroductions and our gardening histories from 2020 to present. Talked about Livestream's new focus and direction. We welcome your input for the coming season, and we will hope to, sprinkle in a few things here and there to elevate our channel, or our chat, and our channels too. Encouragement and constructive criticisms are always welcome, but we make the final decision on our content. That wraps up the first live stream of Gardening Plus with Joy and Healy. Check out our individual. Hold on, gotta cue this up. Where is it? This one? Yes. Check out our individual YouTube channels and catch up on myself, Joy on Rumble, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as Healy, is that what it's called? Chiron? Yeah. Is that what that bottom thing is called?
Yeah, it's a Chiron. Cool. Yeah. I'm only on YouTube, but I'm thinking about doing what Joy has done and kind of just mirrored her YouTube content on Rumble, just to have it on a different platform in case anything happens with YouTube. But for right now, I'm still only on YouTube. If you see my content somewhere else, y'all let me know. But the official HealyMeans channel is only on YouTube.
And that's happening. I see people complaining that the AI is using their, face and voice to market their products, and it's just scary. But you signed off on it, apparently. All right. I am Joy, your host, and
I'm Healy.
We will talk to you all again next time. So I'll harvest more. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.